In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming pattern where there is plenty of interesting storms to discuss. Of course, we have some severe weather to go over, as almost always there is this time of year, but also we have this tropical activity. And if you've missed the last few videos, this has been the primary point of what we've really been discussing for a couple of days now. Honestly, I think it's very, very interesting, very abnormal for this time of year. Obviously, we typically expect maybe one threat, maybe two during the June-July timeframe. And then August is when we see multiple systems or multiple threats, September being numerous threats. But we're seeing really this continued threat of tropical activity in the Gulf, the Caribbean, as we have this tropical moisture just setting up day after day after day, as we have record-breaking historic sea surface temperatures in those waters. And also we have very low shear. Typically that's due to the La Nina. The La Nina helps out a lot, just because that typically lowers the trade winds and the shear. El Nino typically increases those things, and causes trouble for these systems as they're trying to develop. So anyway, I've been rambling on too long. Let's go ahead and just dive into things. We will take a look at both of the storms and then the tropics as well. For tomorrow afternoon here, really what we're seeing is the first little pocket of this tropical moisture. We see it around the western tip of Cuba there. We also see off the west coast of Florida and kind of even beyond, better yet, the east coast of Florida there, and then east of the Bahamas as well. We see around the Gulf states and even inland towards the Four Corners states as well. We are seeing plenty of moisture in this area as we have isolated thunderstorms taking place throughout these states. We also have a low near South Dakota, bringing some thunderstorm and shower activity up here to some of the northern Rockies and some of the northern plains as well. And then we have a low offshore of the northeast, bringing some mid-Atlantic and northeast showers and potential thunderstorms. As we reach towards Tuesday afternoon, we see that this tropical moisture is continuing to sit in place. Again, the western tip of Cuba, southwest Florida, and then east of Florida as well, in towards kind of like the southeast coast there offshore. We even see some of this moisture leading towards some thunderstorms for the Outer Banks and eastern South Carolina as well. So definitely very, very interesting. We do have some isolated thunderstorms throughout the Midwest as well as the Southern Plains. Nothing too significant though. Again, that's for Tuesday on the 11th. Let's take a look at Wednesday the 12th here. And what we see is, again, continued tropical moisture. And we mentioned this the last few videos. Again, I'm kind of reiterating this in case you haven't seen those. But if we see tropical moisture and just areas of tropical interest sticking around for days and days and days, every single day that it sticks around is going to increase the chance that we see something come out of there and something develop, of course. If it were to only last for a couple of days and then fizzle out, that would lower the chance. But we do just see this sticking around, really not struggling to hang around and bring about heavy precipitation. So the chances of something coming out of here is quite elevated for the time of year, I would say. And I'm very interested to watch and see what happens there. Let's take a look at Thursday here on June 13th. And again, probably like the fourth day in a row here that we have just tons of tropical moisture throughout portions of the Gulf, Southern Caribbean, Bahamas, nearby Florida as well. So the whole area basically seeing these areas of moisture. We're seeing from the upper Midwest into the Northeast, there is a pocket of thunderstorms here as well. So be on the lookout for that, as we have lows overhead in Canada, both for kind of the south central areas and then the eastern areas there of Canada. Let's take a look here at Friday on the June 14th. We do have some precipitation happening here for the Pacific Northwest. Also for the Rockies through some of the plains, we're seeing some thunderstorm activity in here as well, due to a 997 over Colorado, so a rather strong low compared to what we've been seeing. From the Great Lakes eastward through some of the Ohio Valley and into the Northeast, we once again, for the second day in a row, have some thunderstorm and shower activity around for these areas. And then again, for a lot of the Gulf and Caribbean, we are dealing with tropical moisture day 5 in a row by that point. Let's take a look at Saturday here on the 15th, and we're going to get our 6th day in a row of tropical moisture being in the area down there, as you can see, for the Gulf and Caribbean. So again, increasing the percent chance every single day that it's sticking around. We do see some wintry weather here underneath a 996 low pressure system for areas out of Alberta there. We see some snowfall for the Cascades and the Rockies here, as well as rainfall, of course, for the lower elevations. But I think the snowfall is the most interesting thing there, as this is going to be the midpoint of June. So very, very late season snowfall. 998 there near the Dakotas and Nebraska, dealing with some thunderstorm activity and likely, I would say, severe weather on the eastern end of this thing with how strong this low is. So we will be watching very closely for that. That is quite far out, though, for severe weather, of course. We do have 1,004 there near the borders of Canada and Maine. This is still leading towards some showers and thunderstorms here for this area. Let's keep going towards Sunday, and I guess this will be the 7th day in a row of tropical moisture. And what we're seeing overall is a 996 there. And that's going to really bring about some precipitation, heavy precipitation here for portions of Canada, but a little bit here still for the northwest of the United States. We do have 1,002 here over Minnesota and a 997 for eastern Colorado. These are kind of tag teaming for some thunderstorm activity, perhaps some severe weather throughout the upper Midwest and northern plains. And then again, this tropical moisture down here on Sunday the 16th. Kind of coming inland by this point. We see Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina really getting the brunt of it. Some of Texas and Louisiana are seeing some impacts, but really the heart of it is still over the water, which is very, very warm, of course. And then for Monday, we see it coming further and further inland. So we're seeing now Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, maybe even Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma being impacted. And then some of these Ohio Valley states like Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, seeing some of that precipitation from this. So it's starting to really throw a lot of that moisture inland. And it's probably because of this jet stream pattern. What we're seeing overall as a flow is colder air moving towards the south and the west, and then warmer air moving up from the Gulf into these kind of, again, Ohio Valley and Midwest areas. So this moisture is kind of just going with that kind of northward flow here, I'm pretty sure. So that's by Monday the 17th. Tuesday the 18th, it continues on par with that. We still have moisture in the Gulf. We still have some for the Caribbean, of course, as again, the tropics are completely waking up as if it's almost, approaching mid-season point, although that's ahead of schedule, of course, by about a month or two at least. So we're seeing very unprecedented things. We see that the precipitation along the East Coast is picking up as a result. So it kind of was heading towards the Ohio Valley. And then we saw the jet stream kind of flatten out. So now we're seeing a zonal flow. So that would be from west to east, mostly, the flow. So again, it moved up towards the north here in the more middle portions. And then it took a curve east. And that's why we see it over these parts now. Even some of the northeast seeing some of this moisture. And then as far as the East Coast. So it's starting to approach the East Coast here. And this is the end of the model run, basically, for Tuesday on the 18th, unfortunately. But we do see that this moisture is still around, and it is approaching the East Coast, whatever is moved inland. We do see this 994 over Colorado is causing some heavier precipitation across the plains and Midwest as well, which could be another threat of severe weather, of course. Here's the total precipitation, and it's no surprise that we have tons around for this southeast corridor here, especially Florida, where we're seeing perhaps 5 to 10 inches in the browns there, and then in those blues 10 to 15 inches. So that's a lot of the Tampa Bay and southward there along the west coast. So definitely a pretty impactful amount of tropical moisture there, regardless of if anything comes out of it or not. Upper Midwest, northern plains, even through some of the kind of central plains there, we are seeing above average precipitation. Then same story here for the Great Lakes and the Northeast as well. Now, as we take a look at this long-range European AI model that we've been taking a look at almost every single day, I really want to see what this does with the tropical moisture. And again, it's already in place here on Sunday the 9th. We see it really just sticking around all the way to Sunday the 16th. So again, that's day 7 of the moisture. And similarly to the European model, but kind of a little different, we do eventually see it move inland. But this model waits until all the way on probably Wednesday the 19th here. And it brings it more on shore to the Louisiana in the Mississippi and Arkansas area there. Instead of the southeast, we're seeing much more of the central Gulf Coast there, I would say. What's interesting is that moves up, becomes kind of a cold front that impacts the East Coast, so it does end up being pretty similar. But at the end of this run, the 24th year of June, we see more areas of interest that look like they're heading northward towards the Gulf. So more threats on the way. Very interesting. Again, nearly unprecedented. I would have to look back at the entire history of every recorded tropical or hurricane season, better yet. But this just doesn't feel like June at all. This feels like late July, early August, as I talked about yesterday. And even sometimes those times of year don't even see any activity. So we're just seeing threat after threat after threat on these models all of a sudden, and it's due to the historically warm temperatures, and again the very low shear due to our La Nina that are just allowing for these hurricanes, these tropical systems to just flourish if they have any moisture to work with, which again 7, 8, 9 days straight we're going to have that. So we will be tracking this together. We do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe for daily weather videos just like this one. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications of when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.